Hello and welcome to this video, and although I'm sat in front of a bookshelf, it's not a book one. We're going to talk theatre today. So I've done this video for the last couple of years, figured I would do it again, although I'm not very prepared, so let's see where we get to with it. A little bit behind the curtain of, you know, filming schedules and all of that kind of stuff. I have literally pressed up on the November book review and press play for this one, so I'm still with the cough. Hopefully the other videos in December aren't featuring this cough too, but I will cut out if I ever have a coughing fit. But if it looks like I've started crying or anything like that, that is why. It's because I've been coughing. I had a very good theatre year. I've seen 6 shows this year. Well, technically I've seen 7, but so that I can get this video up in time, I'm pre-filming. So the 7th show that I'm seeing is a kids show called Christmas Lights with Eloise, like a few days before Christmas. So although I would have liked to have included it in this, I'm not. So you'll have to watch a vlog where I talk about that one at some point. It's probably the video after this, to be honest, that will come. So yeah, so we're talking about 6 shows which I've seen this year, and we're gonna rank them. As a caveat or whatever, I have also seen 2 comedians, so I've seen Rob Beckett and Peter Kay this year, and been to 2 gigs, so I saw McFly and Busted, and I've seen Kaiser Chiefs. So I will link the videos for all of those below in case you're interested in those, but I'm not including them in this video. This is purely going to be about theatre. So, coming in at number 6, and my least favourite show of the year, although all of these shows were really good, so it's not to say that they're bad, but my least favourite of the year was actually the first one I saw, and that was Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. We saw the UK tour, which came to Sheffield in February, I think it was, and I just think there was a lot of things that have happened in that cast that have meant that it didn't work very well. Obviously and sadly, the Vivian had passed away, and they were playing the child catcher, and they passed away sort of just before Christmas. So the stand-in, but obviously the cast is probably grieving, all of that kind of stuff. So I don't know whether that had an impact. We were also in this weird lull of Caractacus Potses where one of them had left, and I think it's Ore Aduba was coming in, but he wasn't coming in until like the venue after us or the venue after that. So we had this period where it was obviously the understudy, which is never a problem. I've got no issues with an understudy, but it just didn't feel like they had rehearsed him in very well. Like, there were no obvious mistakes, but they just didn't seem to have that chemistry with each other, on the stage, all of that kind of stuff. The positives, obviously, great songs, loved the songs in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. The Bulgarian spy people, they were very funny, as were Baron Bonbon, and I can't remember the woman's name. So comedically was very good. The music was great, although I would say the dancing seemed a bit lacking. I don't know, again, whether I was hit by some cast illness, which meant that it was a slightly cut show and there were less people, but it didn't feel like a spectacular dance number. I don't know whether I'm unfairly comparing it to when I saw it on the West End. It was the first West End show I'd ever seen. So in my head it's this like spectacular, like loads of people, certainly the Toot Sweets number, and it just didn't feel like that in the Sheffield version of it that I saw at the beginning of this year. There is also something to say just about the show in general, and this has nothing to do with the performance or the performers. It's got a very weird structured story, does Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, and I think I noticed that more this time, despite the fact that I've watched the film 100 million times. Yeah, it's an odd one. So although I did enjoy it, I was left slightly disappointed, I think, coming out of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, so that is why it is in at number 6. Number 5, we're actually just going, I think, pretty much to the next show that I saw, and it's no surprise that There's a Monster in Your Show comes in at that, because it's not aimed at me. This is obviously a children's show based on the books by Tom Fletcher of There's a Whatever in Your Book, and in this, monster is in your show. So monster, dragon, alien, unicorn, I think they're the 4 that appear in this. And we got these tickets because the age range meant that Eloise could go and see it, and I wanted to take her to her first theatre show, and that aspect of it was absolutely lovely. Watching her watch the show really made it. She clapped along to parts. She did really well, considering she was only about 13 months, just over a year, something like that, when we went to see it. So she did really well with it, but the actual show, questionable. Like, it had some good numbers and some good things, and the performers did really well. But those sort of shows geared towards children are never my favourite, just because of audiences, essentially. I know what I'm signing up for when I go and see it. So that's why it's in at number 5, because of the experience taking Eloise. But if I'm looking at it like subjectively, or objectively, if I'm looking at it objectively, it should rate below Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, but because of that sort of emotional part to it, that's why it's in at number 5. In at number 4, so 3 and 4 could very much interchange depending on day. They're basically on par in my head of sort of viewing experiences and things like that, and the show that it is. But for this particular video, I am trying to break them down. So in at number 4 is the most recent show that I've seen, and that is Here and Now, which is the Steps jukebox musical. I really enjoyed this show. I really enjoyed the Steps songs. I loved how they intertwined them in. I didn't feel it was a bit jolty, if that makes sense. Sometimes with jukebox musicals you can feel like they've really shoehorned that song in at this point. I didn't really feel that with the Steps ones. There may be 1 or 2 moments, but not really. So I just had a fun time. But there were, again, some issues with that show. If it's not been that long ago since I posted my video about it, so I won't go too much into it, but I feel like the cast was hit by some illness. Some of the voices, although didn't seem as strong, although you could tell that they could be, like there was a bit of cracking and things like that. And then the sort of friendship group didn't quite work for me, certainly one of the characters. But I will link that video where I've gone into it in more detail, because it hasn't been that long since I've spoken about it, up here, if you want to hear more of my feelings on Here and Now. But I very much enjoyed it. I think they've still got some time on their run, so if it's coming near you and you haven't seen it, would recommend. So in at number 3, and as I said this could easily be interchangeable, is Hercules, which was a show I wasn't expecting to go and see this year, but as we decided to meet the new baby, we decided to make it a slightly longer trip. It meant that I could go and see a show, and this is the one that I chose to go and see. I'm a big Disney fan, and I have seen pretty much everything, like long-running shows at Theatre Royal Drury Lane, since I was 18, so we're talking 15 years? Something like that. My maths is rubbish, but something like that. So that's why I went to see it. And like Here and Now, I really enjoyed it. It is a bit cheesy. There are Panto-esque moments to it. I'm a bit confused why they've replaced Frozen with Hercules, because I feel like Frozen is a better show, but also I feel like it's more money making. People are more likely to go and see it. But that's not my decision or my conversation to be having. I'm still confused by the changes. I don't understand why Panic and Pain are Bob and Charles. Still don't get it. Like them as characters, still don't get why that choice was made. And a few of the other things like that I don't really get. But on the whole, fun time. So it's not like the best piece of theatre that I've ever seen, but I had a thoroughly good evening when I was there, so that's why it's in at number 3. In at number 2, so runner-up, silver medal, whatever you want to say, is a show that I saw in June, I think, and that is Calamity Jane. So again, saw this at the Lyceum in Sheffield. In fact, all of these I saw at the Lyceum other than Hercules. It's the bonus of living in Sheffield, we actually get some decent shows. And there was a caveat of moving, because there better be some theatre when Pete floated the idea with me. But yes, number 2, Calamity Jane. So this again was the UK tour, obviously, if it's come to Sheffield, I don't need to say that every time. And this is obviously based on the... was it a Doris Day film first, or was it a musical before that and then they made Doris Day film? I don't know, but I know it from the Doris Day film, where Calamity Jane is in the Midwest and going along things. This is one of the first like musician show, basically, where they play their instruments on stage and they are the characters even though they're playing the music at the same time, and I enjoyed that aspect of it. I don't feel like it messed up with anything. I think it was very well and cleverly put together. The story itself is again a bit odd, like chitty chitty bang bang. You're going through all of this stuff, you know, trying to find the big star to perform in their little like pub. It's not a pub, but I'm gonna call it a pub. And then there's this like banter between Bill and Calamity Jane, and then all of a sudden there's a love story and it ends. So it is a bit odd, the whole storytelling of it, but again has some fun songs. The dancing in it was good, the performances in it were good, and I had a thoroughly nice time going to see it. And it's also one I don't know really well, so I didn't know it sort of beat for beat, and there wasn't really anything. I think it was truer to the film than some of the other ones that I've seen, so that's partly why it's there. Also, I am a fan of Gary Hope Fletcher, who was playing Calamity Jane. That wasn't why we booked the tickets, but I am a fan of her, and I always think she does a very good job at what she does. So again, glad to see her in another production. So yeah, Calamity Jane in at number 2. So here we are, the number 1 spot for the 2025 theatre viewing goes to And Juliet, which I went to see on my own. It's unusual that one that I've seen on my own comes in at number 1, because as much as I love it, and 1, 2, 3 of these, so half of them I've seen on my own this year, there is an aspect of not being able to talk to anyone, not having that sort of joint experience, that means that as much as you can enjoy something, you've got no one to share it with. So for my number 1 spot to be one that I actually saw by myself, I'm surprised. So And Juliet is another jukebox musical, actually, and this is using the songs of, I can't remember his name, there's a certain person who's involved in a lot of, say, like the Katy Perry songs, the Britney songs, the Backstreet Boys, that kind of sort of era of pop. But it is also a retelling of Romeo and Juliet, or not really a retelling, what happens next if Juliet didn't die in Romeo and Juliet. So put those two things together, very interesting concept, very good songs, and you get a very good musical out of it. I remember when it came to London, really wanted to see it then, never got to it, so I was absolutely thrilled when I heard it was going on tour and that it was coming to Sheffield and that I could go and see it. So that might be part of the reason why, because I went in, but then if I've gone in with such high expectations, they're not always met. Performances in this were great. In fact, the woman that was playing Shakespeare's wife was also the lead in Here and Now, so I've seen her twice this year and I thought she was good in both of them. I can't remember her name now though. I feel like it's Laura somebody, but I've probably got that wrong. But yeah, performances in it were really good. Was very surprised by Dr. Ranch and his performance. Didn't think of him as a musical theatre person. Also had Jay McGuinness, obviously we know he's good. I have seen him before in Big, so I knew that what to expect for him. But all of the others around it were something I wasn't expecting, really. The whole Romeo part of it, big shock for me, very funny, loved it. He's a very good actor. I think he played Romeo on Broadway, if I remember rightly. He was like the highlight for me. I loved it. Feel like some of the songs in this one were a little bit shoehorned, but also that did make me laugh. Certainly the part of Not a Girl, Not Yet a Woman, that one felt a bit on the nose. But on the whole, thoroughly enjoyed my time. Came out of it with a big smile, lots of songs going around my head, and would happily see it again at some point. So yeah, there we have it. That is my #1 show of the year. Please tell me in the comments what you've seen or what you're planning on seeing in 2026. I have a couple of shows booked already. I have tickets for Legally Blonde and I have tickets for Operation Mincemeat. I'm hoping and trying to convince my brother to go to London so that we can see Beetlejuice, because that is a show I've been waiting for absolute years to come to the West End. So I don't want to miss it on its short-ish run just because I don't live in London anymore. So thoughts are in process for going to see that. I don't know what else is coming. I think some of the other stuff that's coming to Sheffield I have already seen, so I may go and see it, but I'm not rushing. Things like Waitress, which I really enjoyed when I saw it the first time, but am I in a big rush to see it this time? I don't know, maybe. So yeah, there are things in the pipeline for theatre next year, so again, this time next year, if you're interested in what I've seen, I will probably end up doing this kind of video again. But I say, let me know what you've seen in the comments below. If you've enjoyed this one, please give it a thumbs up. I hope you're having a good and restful Christmas period, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!